Some fabulous chairs here at the show. And so you can see that we have, I'm not going to tell you. I'm supposed to ask. See, I got carried away. Who can anybody see the trends? Black, warm metal, reclaimed, 3 trends. Good work. You guys are paying attention. I wish I had prizing. And the black windows, see those black windows, so popular. All right, we got a few trends here. What do we see? Mid-century, yes. So that's famous table base. And the chairs, too, are something called an Eiffel chair, very popular in the mid-century. And there's, you can see them here, I believe Pink and Brown, who's also somebody who we have on our set here, has them over at their booth. And I'm getting a thumbs up. They do have that chair over there. What else do we see? Reclaimed. So the table is actually an old barn board. It was flooring in a barn. And then color. So, and by the way, that banquette, as I said, I love to use outdoor fabric. That is an outdoor fabric because they have 3 young girls. And then there's lots of storage under the banquette for baskets and everything, which is always good. I like to use every square inch for storage. Trends. Black, yep. And the reclaimed. So you can see in the floor, these beautiful reclaimed floors. We can also see that it's kind of this idea, this industrial look where we haven't quite finished the chair, and you can see some of the interior ties and the webbing. So that's kind of an interesting look as well. And what also is interesting, if you look at the surrounding, look at all the moldings and look at the detail, and then we have this really rustic, kind of almost industrial rustic chair, and see how that kind of juxtaposition really creates this amazing energy. Oh, another banquette. Yes, we love banquettes at Sealy Design. They're very practical and very cozy. So, and this is also outdoor fabric. And I'm going to tell you a funny story. I always love to go back to see my clients after I've done a design for them. I'm like, oh, what did you like? How's it working? Would you change anything? And so I was sitting on the banquette. I'm like, oh, this is really comfortable. Oh, is this great? Are you enjoying it? And they said, oh, yeah, it's fantastic. And in fact, where you're sitting, my daughter just peed this morning in that outdoor fabric. I just wiped it right. I'm like, whoa. But the great thing about the outdoor fabric, it just repels right off. So you don't have to worry about any liquids, and ideally, you don't want to be spilling red wine, you don't want any liquids on the banquette. But if there is, it can be wiped up easily. Any other trends we're seeing? Color, yeah, so we have some great pops of color. We got some great red, we have the black, and then we have that little bit of glamour. So it's nice to have, you can see it's okay to have that eccentric, you think, oh, it has to be all this way, or it all has to be that way. No, you can actually blend, and it creates a great effect. All right, before we go into questions, I'm just going to quickly walk through. I just want to tell you about what we have on our stage, because all of these things can be found here at the show. We pulled everything. So we're going to start with Kokoran is our beautiful reclaim. Oh, maybe I shouldn't even tell you the trend. Maybe you should tell me. Our beautiful lamp. What's the trend here? Can you see this little side table? Style informed, reclaimed, and black metal. Yes. Now, Hupe. So our chair here. It's got a mid-century feel for sure, and color. And even this kind of unfinished grayish wood has that rustic feel to it. So we have a few trends happening here, and it's comfortable. All right, Lanark rugs. I talked a little bit about this earlier. So it's obviously color, right? This is our color story. This is a great inspiration for us. Our coffee table. LH Imports, black, and that beautiful reclaimed looking wood. Pink and Brown, so we have a few things from Pink and Brown. We have our magazine holder, our beautiful vase here, our tulip table, and our bird. Yes, so obviously we have some black. And remember I said, yes, warm metals are hot, but you probably already have some of that stainless or chrome in your home. It's okay to mix. And if you look around, look at our metals. We have almost every metal represented here, and it looks great. Silva. So that's our amazing sofa. And when I'm done, and if you have questions, come up and see me, but also walk around the back of this sofa because it's got a beautiful detail which you can't see, and this beautiful wood leg actually comes up the back of the sofa. And this is really important when we're thinking about designing or decorating our open concept spaces, because often now we're walking into people's homes and we're seeing the back of a sofa. So consider doing a different fabric on the back, for example, or do something that has a beautiful line, but make sure you're thinking about sight lines, because if somebody's going to come in and see the back of your sofa, you want it to be pretty, and if it's not, get yourself a sofa table. Style and form. So that was our little table over here, and the Turquoise Palace. So that's all of these amazing pillows and our lanterns. So we're seeing a few trends here, obviously. I think we can easily see we've got lots of amazing color, and then all of our metals. So you can see that we can bring in all these trends into one room, and it has a really welcoming feel and great energy. So I hope that helps with some trends. I hope you can go home and put these trends to work. You can buy a bunch of things at the show, and I'm going to take any questions. Any questions? We've got a mic if anybody wants to ask me any questions. Or you can yell it out if you're shy. Oh, we got one over here. Here we go.
What are some of the trends for window treatments?
For window treatments, that's a great question. So one of the things I love to do when I do window treatments is I love to use a linen or a linen-like as my base. And one of the reasons being is that it's always nice to have something where you get a little bit of privacy. So for example, during the day you could close it, but it filters light into your home. And if, for example, say you had the main floor of your house and all of your windows had that, there's some consistency there, which is really nice. And now if you want, you can add side panels, which are the color. And you don't have to spend a lot of money on these because these don't necessarily have to open and close. But when you're doing it, make sure they're full enough. You've probably been into people's homes where they've done like one skimpy drape and it's like 12 inches wide on this huge wall, and it just doesn't feel robust enough. It doesn't have enough. So if you want it to feel a little bit more luxurious, think about doing 2 or 3 panels. And what I try to do is make them as wide as possible. So like I cover it up so that I'm not covering any of the windows. So we're not covering up all that beautiful natural light. I also use drapery to hide flaws. So for example, if you've been into somebody's home and there's all these windows, and some windows, all the window sills and headers line up, and in some homes they're all over the place, and that window looks too short, and why is that? So I will fudge it by hanging a Roman blind, and I hang it almost right up to the ceiling, so within a few inches of the ceiling, and so it looks like the window's nice and tall. And if all the windows in the room are all different heights, and I cover that with Roman blinds, I can hang all my Roman blinds at the same height, and so now you get this beautiful line, this horizontal line in the space. Also, if you're somebody who's maybe a little bit more contemporary, there's window films. So putting a frosting up or that kind of thing is also something you can do. Other questions? Oh, downsizing trend. Okay, so that's a great question. So this is important. So as you're thinking about buying furniture, as of course you are today, then when you're thinking, for example, this sofa you can see here from Silva, it's a really nice size. So could buy this, and if you're thinking about moving into a condo or a smaller space, this sofa is probably going to work. If you buy yourself a massive sectional and then you're planning on moving, that could be problematic. I'm not saying don't do it, but it's important to think about. If you are thinking in 3, 5, whatever many years, it might make more sense to not go the sectional route and do something which is more of kind of a smaller scale or a condo size sofa. Also, when you're thinking about downsize, obviously, every time I go to a client's house for any job, one of the things that's almost always on their homework is declutter. So, when we have a lot of stuff around, it makes our spaces feel smaller, and also makes them feel, you just can't feel relaxed in them when there's a lot of stuff around. So decluttering is always a great thing, and it'll also, of course, help with the move.
How often should we change our furniture? Like once a year, every 10 years, every 25 years, once the ugly couch comes back in style? On average? That's
a great question. And I think the answer is there's no answer that's going to suit everybody. So, if you're somebody who has a little bit of disposable income and you find that this kind of thing, decor, is important to you, you might be changing it more often than other people. I like to buy really good quality foundation pieces. So I love to buy a great quality sofa, and I do tend to go more to neutral. I also like to buy beautiful area rugs. And I generally like to get them as big as I can, because even if you have, say, a 15 by 15 room, I'm probably going to do like a 9 by 12 in there. Like, I want a big area rug because it actually makes the room look bigger, and I like to have the furniture sitting ideally on the area rug, at least the front legs of the furniture sitting on it. So if you've done that, then you're maybe talking about buying some lamps and some pillows and some accessories and changing things up. If you happen to have bought an inexpensive sofa with no sag springs that maybe weren't done super well, then you might find that it's getting a little soft in that favorite spot. So if you sit in the same spot in your sofa, so you may decide it makes more sense to like buy something that's a for now sofa, and then in a few years you buy another sofa. You might have a favorite chair that gets a ton of wear, and it's kind of it's done its duty in life. So, and I'm not pointing. I'm just this chair is fantastic. It lasts a lifetime. But if you had a chair that maybe wouldn't, then that's the time to update it. As well, if you're finding that something's just not working, or you never really loved it, or you're never using it, so you have a space in your home, and you say, you know what, I want to have 8 people sit in my living room, and no one's sitting in those 2 chairs. That might be time to recycle those chairs and give them away. The Furniture Bank is here actually at the trade show as well. Oh, hey, hi. So we can donate our furniture. So there's lots of options for us. Oh.
I'm in a 1-bedroom condo, and what would you recommend I'm in the market for a sofa in the living room. Would you go leather or fabric?
That's a great question, and again, some people would have different answers. So the great thing about leather, obviously, is that, timeless. You can wipe it down. If you have kids and dogs, you might want to consider some of that more rustic leather that has that wear, or they call it vintage leather, because if you have something that's pristine and you have little claws on it or little people on it, and even like the domes on our jeans and things like that can scratch it. Some you can actually buff it out with your hand and it actually softens that scratch. But it's not a bad idea to get a little swatch of whatever you're planning on using, fabric, leather, and just giving it a little trial. What people will complain about with leather, and so you need to know this going in, is people will say it's not cozy because it's cold in the winter and that it's warm in the summer. A lot of people will combat that by having beautiful big throws around. Turquoise Palace has some beautiful throws that you could go pick up, and you can actually put that down and sit on that. If that's not your cup of tea, then I'd consider fabric. And with fabric, there's so many durable fabrics out there. Even if it's not an outdoor one, we have fabrics that are treated, Teflon treated, easy to clean up. So it's important to think about those kinds of things.
I was going to ask basically the same question. Between the fabrics and the leathers, I was just going to ask, do you think the same trends still apply, like the colors? And if you're going into more of a leather feel, do you think that it could be like something that a leather is more long-term than something that's fabric?
There's a lot of different qualities of leather, and so, some you could have, and it's going to last a lifetime. And if you don't mind a little bit of that, like in the counter shop I was talking about patina, if you don't mind a little bit of that wear, a little bit of that, which a lot of people love. So if you get a beautiful old vintage sofa and it gets a little bit of that wear, it actually becomes more comfortable and it looks a little bit more cozy. So in a situation like that, you can definitely buy a piece, and you might decide, for example, to get a big, beautiful wing chair, or almost like a library chair. And we often think of those as being kind of very masculine and manly and